A lot of men have this irrational fear about body count. In this video, I briefly went over my irrational fear. It's dating someone who has been busting it open on a fan's website or posting baiting pictures on Instagram. That's like negative 1,000 attraction points to me. But as I said in that video, that's just me. Do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, can't control these people. I'm just because I'm not attracted to something doesn't mean like it's the end of everything, right? Unless you want me to be romantically interested in you. That's another thing. It's just not my thing, respectfully. A lot of men are attracted to women online who be doing stuff like that. Oddly, though, I never really personally cared about body count as much as other people have. You know what it is, guy or girl? I think having a huge amount of ex-partners is questionable. In a sense where when you enter a relationship with somebody, you give someone access to your being, your vulnerabilities, your emotions, and oftentimes your body. To have a lot of people have access to that, it does raise a question if you're letting people have access to you too easily. And that brings us to another question. Why do you let people have access to you so swiftly? Now, I said guy or girl, because I know how it is. People just be thinking that you're talking about females with this type of topic. But I think it's just as bad for men. I've given so many people access to my emotions and vulnerabilities. And out of the many people in my life that I've done that to, who have had access to me, only 2 of them remain in my life. I'm ashamed of giving people access to my life. I'm sure you could think of people who you regret too. You gave someone access to the deeper part of you. And to keep making that mistake though, it tells you something about your character or your decision making to keep allowing certain people in your life. So when you want to say body count, the physical part of giving someone access, we have to think about it from a perspective rather than, oh, she sleeps around a lot. It's more psychological than that. This individual gives access to people much easier than others, or gives themselves, other people access to them much easier than others. And this can mean several things. Are they deeply insecure where they have to give access to people often for validation? Are they hurting from some sort of void that's not filled, so they allow others to fill that void through some sort of intimacy? Perhaps they just enjoy intimacy. Who knows? But from an outside perspective, people look at that negatively as this person is too accessible, which makes people assume this individual is, how you say, for the streets. A lack of exclusivity. They for the streets. That's it. That's what happens. That's why people feel that way. And I again emphasize the masculine part of this, man or woman. We make choices of giving people access when they shouldn't have had access to it. But this is based off of our judgment. You chose who to open up to. You chose who to give access to. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lesson of wisdom as you mature mentally is that you start learning to pick certain types of people to be exclusive to. Or maybe you just happen to close yourself out because you're too hurt over people in the past who you gave access to. This is what I meant by, I think having a huge amount of ex-partners is questionable because it brings up how many people had access to your being to begin with. Does this make sense? So when we do this body count thing, does her body count matter? Since it clearly does to people, well, you got to ask, what is she like now? They say don't judge people by their past. I only agree with that if their actions are still relevant. We've all done terrible things and have made poor judgment in the past, but a lot of us have grown from it and have become different people or matured, right? To the point where the past decision or judgment we made is only a stepping stone to our future. But not everyone lives like that. Some people, they still make that same poor judgment and then continue to live their life with the same decision. If somebody told me right now that they have a high body count, my question is, what is this person like? What is it like for this person to constantly find themselves in a position where they keep giving themselves access to other people? Like, and another question I would ask in my head, am I just going to be another digit to that body count? Simply because everyone else seems to just go through it. So like, what makes me different? It's like, let's say you meet a new guy or girl, right? Let's say you meet somebody and that person admits they are a habitual cheater in relationships. Why would they not cheat on you? Like, that's all they do. They're a habitual cheater. What makes it different? What makes you so special? You know what I mean? It's like, If you've been sleeping around and giving access to everybody or giving everybody access to your body so easily, what makes this situation so different than others? Again, you wonder, people, see, this is why some people get like, why does body count matter? Why do people care about body count all of a sudden? This is why. What makes me different? Am I just going to be another digit to this body count or what? And really think about this. If you're for the streets, what's going to change this time around? First of all, how'd you end up being in the streets to begin with? Am I just falling for the same trap as everyone else did? Who knows? So, from what it seems, the answer would be considered to the title of this episode, the Aku Anime. The answer would be yes, it does matter. And for the women watching or listening to this, same thing could be applied to men, because I know with this topic, people act like it's only picking on women here. It's not that. You got to think about with this men too. If he's out there slinging his meat around everywhere, what makes this time different? You're just going to be another one he tosses to the side and uses up. What makes you convinced you will find exclusivity in this individual? Because clearly everyone else already got access to this person. If I started dating someone new and she told me, yo, Andre, I have 10 bodies. Listen, you got to sit down with me one day and give me a story time about these relationships you had or these 10 bodies, okay? Like, listen, I need to be convinced that I won't be the 11th body, because all 10 of those people clearly got you first. And for some odd reason, like, think about this, people. How does someone have 10 different relationships and none of them worked? I'm not saying this is a far-fetched situation, because a lot of people have been in a lot of relationships and none of them worked. But what does that tell you about someone? You guys do this to me too. I saw a comment one time where I was explaining something about my ex, and what annoyed me about it, and someone left a comment. It was a female, and she said, Aku, you've been through so many relationships. Maybe something is wrong with you. It's mean that she said that to me, but what she said is not wrong. I'm self-aware that she's correct here. That's why it's always hard for me to get into relationships or build friendships. This is a conversation about math here, really. If you are the common denominator of all these bad friendships and relationships you find yourself in, it's you. It's either you're picking the wrong people or you got your own issues that are making these situations bad, or it could be both. With that being said, when you learn about someone's past, like their body count, stop thinking about it stop thinking about it in such a black and white way. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, so many bodies. She's a thought. Technically, okay, but you can make that point in that way. However, I think it's too simple to conclude that. I think what it means is somebody is constantly the common denominator of situations where they keep giving access to people and then not being able to do so anymore. And then that person ends up becoming an addition to that body. If I can make a suggestion, first of all, I would never ask somebody their body count, okay? That's kind of juvenile. I've read stories and I've heard people say like, yo, this guy, he asked what was my body count. That sounds so stupid. Like, you don't go to people just ask like, what's your body count? You know, even somebody who you just met, like asking directly how many bodies you got, it's like, it's just bluntly rude. And it just feels like a child is asking that question. Listen, it's already setting up the conversation and turning out toxic. The answer is probably never going to be true either. You know what I'm saying? For real, you ask someone's body count, they're not going to tell you the truth like half of the time. Why would somebody admit something if they know the answer that they're going to give is not going to be liked? Does that make sense? That's why I said just ask about relationships instead. That's what, when I said someone told me 10 bodies, if someone told me 10 bodies, I haven't met somebody who told me that, but I would just ask about, yo, sit me down, tell me about your past relationships, okay? And usually when someone tells or talks about their past relationships, it exposes their personality. So you could read somebody early. Like, how come all these 10 relationships didn't work out for you? Okay, now you can, oh, okay, interesting. So that's why you're like that way. Like, you say that in your head, you'd be like, oh, And again, people will expose their flaws just by doing that. So when you read that early, you could be like, oh, gee, this person is probably not for me, or this is not going to work out strictly because of what they said here. Instead of just going like, yo, what's your body count? Oh, she a thought. Like, you know, you learn more about people this way. Second suggestion, if you know someone's body count is a certain range that you're not comfortable with, you have to consider what I mentioned so far about learning the type of person they are at this current moment, and why X amount of people had access to their body like that, or access to them in general like that. If it's because of relationships, then what you got to figure out is, why does this person keep ending up in relationships that don't work? Try to understand that, because once you figure that out and you figure out why they end up in that situation, you can decide early, like I mentioned, whether that person is someone who you want to be around. You might miss out. Listen, if you just go like, oh, her body count is 5, you would thought, or, oh, they got this amount, forget it. You might miss out on somebody who you really click with. You might miss out on someone who you might be actually exclusively with. This person might work out with you, but if you're just going to throw them away that quickly, you know, hey, you just can't look at the body count numbers so black and white, if that makes any sense. And so, yes, it does matter, but it's deeper than just numbers. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, let me know down below. The episode's also found on Spotify and YouTube. Times Square.
Nightmare 7 a.m. in the morning though. No surprise. Times Square's you and I under those lights. No disguise. Don't tell me everything you wanted was a lie. All those city lights, it's an endless night. Never expected you to bring me so much life. Close my eyes too long, then it's time to say goodbye. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Caution. Wait a moment, keep my heart locked away, it's filled with emotion. Gave the key to you, right in front of you is open. Hey, try your best to not leave it broken. Oh, it's been a while since you know it's frozen.